Let me tell you something about hatred. It doesn't announce itself with trumpets. It creeps in quietly, like mold on bread, until one day you wake up and realize your entire soul has rotted from the inside. That's what happened to me. My name is Adanna, and I killed my twin sister, not in some heat of passion moment, not in self-defense. I planned it. Well, maybe planned is too generous. I fantasized about it so many times that when the opportunity came, my body moved on autopilot. You want to know why? Sit down. This isn't a pretty story. Chioma. And I shared everything, a womb, a face, a birthday. But somewhere between conception and birth, God decided to play favorites. She got the beauty, the brains, the charm that made people's faces light up when she walked into a room. I got to be Chioma's twin. From the moment we could crawl, it started, relatives would coo over her, pinch her cheeks, toss her in the air, while I sat there like forgotten luggage. This one will marry a governor, they'd predict, pointing at Chioma. Then they'd glance at me and say, this one is also fine, Sha, with that tone that really meant we're just being polite. I told myself, it didn't matter. We were twins. Her glory was my glory, right? That's what I kept saying as I watched her win every school competition, every award, every heart in every room we entered. I came in second, so often they should have just tattooed runner-up on my forehead, but I survived it. I gritted my teeth and survived it until university. Chioma got into medicine and surgery, full scholarship, honors, the whole golden package. The day her admission letter came, her father killed a goat. An entire goat. The compound smelled like celebration for days. When my biology admission letter arrived 72 hours later, my father said well done without even looking up from his phone. You know what really kills you? It's not the big moments of rejection. It's the 1,000 tiny cuts that bleed you dry slowly. Our family WhatsApp group would explode whenever Chioma sneezed. Our doctor daughter is working so hard. So proud of Chioma. This girl will put our family on the map. When I posted about winning a research grant worth actual money, I got 3 responses. One was my cousin, asking if I could lend him transport fare. At family gatherings, I became the furniture. Uncles would pull Chioma aside to discuss her bride price before these Lagos boys carry her away. They'd pat my shoulder in passing. Don't worry, your own will come. Like I was overripe fruit waiting to be purchased at a discount. Then Chukwudi entered the picture, and that's when my carefully constructed piece shattered like cheap glass. I met him first. That detail matters to me, even now. It was at a medical outreach program in one of the rural communities. I was there collecting research samples. He was coordinating the NGO funding. Tall, well-spoken, had this way of looking at you when you talked like your words were the most fascinating thing he'd ever heard. We talked for hours under the mango tree while the clinic ran. He made me laugh. Actually laugh, not the polite chuckle I perfected for family dinners. When he asked for my number, I thought maybe, finally, something beautiful was coming my way. 2 weeks later, I invited him to family dinner. Biggest mistake of my life. Chioma showed up late, still in her hospital scrubs, hair tied back, exhausted from a double shift. She looked like she'd been dragged through hell, and somehow she was still radiant. I watched it happen in slow motion. Chukwudi's eyes found her across the room, and something in his face shifted. The warmth he'd shown me cooled instantly, redirected, like sunlight, through a magnifying glass, burning only in her direction. You must be the famous Dr. Chioma, he said, and I heard that note in his voice, higher, eager, hungry. She gave him a tired smile. That's all it took. One smile. 3 months later, they were dating. 6 months after that, engaged. Nobody asked me how I felt. Why would they? In the story of Chioma's life, I was a background character, an extra, the less interesting twin who should be grateful to stand in her shadow. My own mother said to me, "Don't worry, Adanna. When Chioma settles down with a good man, she'll help you find somebody too. Help me." Like I was a charity case. Like I couldn't possibly find love on my own merit. I smiled and said thank you. But inside, something cracked. The kind of crack that starts small but spreads until the whole structure collapses. December came, and the family converged on our village to visit Grandma and plan the wedding of the century. The house vibrated with joy. Caterers, tailors, event planners parading through. Chioma's face was everywhere, on sample invitations, in bridal magazines. Our aunties brought in every conversation. I helped address wedding invitations with her name written in gold calligraphy next to Chukwudi's. Each envelope felt like swallowing glass. Behind Grandma's compound sat the old well, deep, dark, hand-dug by our great-grandfather decades ago. We'd been forbidden from playing near it as children. The spirits live at the bottom, Grandma would warn. They only pull down the wicked ones. On the fourth morning of our visit, Chioma bounced into my room with 2 jerry cans. "Let's go fetch water together," like when we were small, just us sisters. She linked her arm through mine as we walked, chattering about honeymoon destinations. "I'm thinking Zanzibar. Have you seen the pictures? The water is so blue, it doesn't look real. And Adanna, you'll be my chief bridesmaid, right? I can't imagine getting married without you by my side." We reached the well. She set down her jerry can and leaned over the edge, peering into the darkness. "It's still so deep. Remember when we used to drop stones and count how long before we heard the splash?" I stood behind her, holding my jerry can. The compound was quiet. Everyone else was still asleep or busy in the main house. Just us. Just the 2 of us. And that dark, hungry well. "Chioma," I said quietly. "Hmm?" She was still looking down, mesmerized by her own reflection in the black water. "Do you ever think about me?" She turned, confused. "What do you mean? You're my sister, my twin. Of course I think about you." "No, I mean, really, think about me. About how it feels to always be second, to always be the other one, the one people forget to mention. Do you know what that's like?" Her face softened with something like pity, and that pity was worse than indifference. "Adanna, I didn't know you felt." I didn't let her finish. My hands shot out and connected with her shoulders. For a moment, one breathless, eternal moment, our eyes locked. Hers went wide with shock and betrayal. Mine must have looked like a stranger's. Then gravity took over. She screamed. Just once. A short, sharp sound that cut off when she hit the water far below. Splash. Silence. I stood there, breathing hard, staring into the darkness. What had I done? But also, finally, the world would notice me. Finally, I would be the one people asked about. Maybe even Chukwudi would. Adanna. Grandma's voice cracked like a whip. "Where is your sister?" I turned, schooling my face into confusion. "She said she wanted to go to the market early, Grandma, before the sun got too hot." The search started within an hour. By evening, they had found her body in the well. The entire village gathered. The wailing could be heard from 3 compounds away. Such a brilliant girl, gone so soon, and her wedding was next month. What a waste, what a terrible waste. I played my part flawlessly, the devastated twin. I cried real tears, whether from guilt, grief, or relief, I couldn't tell. Maybe all 3 mixed together into something toxic and unnameable. Chukwudi fell apart, completely shattered. He stopped eating, stopped sleeping, wandered around like a ghost himself. I brought him food, sat with him in silence. Let him talk about Chioma for hours, her laugh, her dreams, how she wanted 4 children and a house with a garden. I listened. I comforted. And slowly, carefully, I began to position myself as the only person who truly understood his pain. 6 months after the funeral, we were dating. Grief had worn him down, made him vulnerable. I was there, looking exactly like the woman he'd lost. It wasn't love, not on his part, but it was need, and I convinced myself that was close enough. That's when the disturbances started. Small things at first. I'd wake up drenched in water, my bed soaked, though no pipes had burst. The room would turn freezing cold at exactly 3 a.m. every night. I'd hear splashing sounds when I was alone, like someone struggling in deep water. Then I started seeing her. The first time almost stopped my heart. I was brushing my teeth, and there she was in the mirror behind me, dripping wet, hair plastered across her face, eyes black and bottomless like the well. I spun around. Nothing. But when I looked back at the mirror, there was a wet handprint on the glass where her hand had been. It escalated. She appeared everywhere. Standing in the corner of my bedroom at night, water pooling beneath her feet. Sitting at the kitchen table when I came down for breakfast, watching me with those dead, accusing eyes. In the car, in the back seat, her wet hand sometimes reaching forward to touch my shoulder. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. My hair started falling out in clumps. People whispered that grief was destroying me, that losing my twin had broken my mind. If only they knew. When Chukwudi proposed using the same ring he'd bought for Chioma, I recognized it immediately. I should have felt victorious. Instead, I felt the temperature drop 20 degrees. We were at a restaurant. He got down on one knee, opened the box, started his rehearsed speech. Before I could answer, every glass of water on every table in the restaurant exploded simultaneously. Water everywhere, people screaming, Chukwudi staring around in shock. I ran. Just ran out into the night, his confused calls fading behind me. She was waiting in my bedroom when I got home. Not a glimpse this time, fully manifested, solid looking, except for the water constantly dripping from her clothes, her hair, her fingertips. Why? Her voice sounded like it was coming from underwater, distorted and echoing. Why did you kill me, Adanna? I couldn't speak. My teeth were chattering too hard. Was it worth it? She moved closer. The smell of stagnant well water filled the room. You have my fiancé now. You have the attention you always wanted. Everyone's so worried about poor Adanna, wasting away from grief. Is this what you imagined? My voice cracked. I couldn't take it anymore. Always second. Always invisible. You had everything. Everything. And you didn't even appreciate it. Didn't appreciate it? For the first time, anger flashed across her face. Do you know what it's like being perfect, Chioma? Every exam, every presentation, every family gathering, I had to be flawless. One mistake, and I'd hear about it for months. You got to be human, Adanna. You got to fail, and it was fine because that's just Adanna. I had to be perfect every single day. I stared at her. That had never occurred to me. And you think I didn't see it? She continued. How they ignored you, how it hurt you. It hurt me too. I tried to share my successes with you, tried to bring you into conversations, but you pulled away. You made yourself invisible because it was easier than competing. That's not. It is true. And now I'm dead, murdered by my own twin sister. Over what? Jealousy? Pride? Was my life really worth so little to you? I broke. Completely collapsed onto the floor, sobbing so hard I thought my ribs would crack. I can't take it back. God, I wish I could, but I can't. I'm sorry, Chioma. I'm so sorry. I did mean it, but I wish I hadn't. I wish. The words poured out of me like poison draining from a wound. Every jealous thought, every bitter moment, every time I'd smiled at her success while dying inside, I confessed it all. When I finally ran out of words, I looked up. She was still there, watching me with an expression I couldn't read. I forgive you, she said quietly. What? I forgive you, Adanna. She looked tired, less solid somehow. Not because what you did was okay, it wasn't. You stole my life, my future, everything I could have been. But holding on to this anger is keeping me trapped between worlds. And honestly, a small, sad smile appeared. I'm exhausted. Haunting you is harder than medical school. Despite everything, I hiccuped a laugh. But you have to do something for me, she said. Anything. Marry Chukwudi. I blinked. Are you insane? Probably. I'm a ghost, after all. The smile grew slightly. But listen, he's a good man. He deserves to be happy. And I was having doubts anyway. He chews with his mouth open and his family is exhausting. All those aunties with opinions about everything. I couldn't help it. I laughed harder, tears still streaming. But more importantly, she continued, serious again. You need to leave, Adanna. Really leave. Not my life. Not some version of me. Your life. Stop measuring yourself against everyone else. You're brilliant in your own right. Your research matters. You matter. Stop waiting for permission to exist. How? I whispered. How do I do that? Therapy would be a good start. And maybe confess to a priest because, mother. She was fading now, becoming translucent. But mainly, just be yourself. Stop apologizing for taking up space in the world. Chioma, wait, one more thing. Her voice was almost gone. The biology research you're doing on indigenous plant medicines. Keep going. It's going to change lives more than you know. How do you? I'm dead, not uninformed. Now live well, sister. Be happy. And for the love of God, stop comparing yourself to everyone. You are enough. You were always enough. She disappeared. The water on the floor evaporated like it had never existed. The room warmed. I sat there until dawn, crying quietly, grieving properly for the first time. I married Chukwudi 18 months later. It was a small ceremony, I insisted. Something about a big wedding felt wrong, like I'll be celebrating on top of Chioma's grave. I told him the truth, eventually. Not about the murder, that secret I'll carry to my own grave, but about my jealousy, my insecurity, my habit of measuring my worth against others. He listened without judgment, and slowly, carefully, helped me build a sense of self that didn't depend on comparison. My research on indigenous medicines did take off. We developed 3 new treatments that are now being used in rural clinics across the country. I published papers, won grants, built something real and meaningful that was entirely mine. Sometimes, on quiet evenings, I catch the scent of Chioma's perfume, or I'll find wet footprints leading from nowhere to nowhere, but there's no fear anymore. Just a gentle reminder that she's still watching, still rooting for me in whatever comes next. I visit the well once a year, on the anniversary. I bring flowers and I talk to her, tell her about my life, about the people we've helped, about the nieces and nephews she never got to meet. And sometimes, when the light hits the water just right, I swear I see her reflection smiling back at me. Not forgiving, not forgetting, but at peace. We're both at peace now. Finally, the end. The poison of comparison will destroy you from within. Your worth isn't measured against someone else's achievements. And sometimes the thing you think you want most will cost you everything, including your own soul.